Okay, hello students. So today, tunaan natin kung paano mag-solve sa roots ng quadratic equation gamit ang extracting square roots. Okay? So we usually use extracting square roots if p in ax squared plus bx plus c is equal to 0 is missing. Now usually gagamit kita sa extracting square roots method to solve for the roots kung ang values ng b natin in the standard form of quadratic equation is missing. Okay? So, para mas maintindihan tapagid ang extracting square roots, i-recall natin kung ano ang mga numbers that are perfect squares. So I have here numbers below 50 that are perfect squares and also variables. Paano kita makambal ang mga variables with exponents are perfect squares. Okay, so sa numbers na below 50, we have here 1, 4, 9, 16, 25, 36, and 49. So nga, nag-perfect squares hindi sila. So, numbers that are perfect squares are the results if we're going to multiply a certain number by itself. Kag ang resulta mula sa ang perfect square. Okay, so for example, so 1, so it is the result if you multiply 1 times 1. Okay? And then so 4, it is the result if you multiply 2 times 2. And then 9 is the result if you multiply 3 times 3. 16 is the result if you multiply 4 times 4. 25, we have 5 times 5. 36, we have 6 times 6. And 49, we have 7 times 7. Okay, so each number here, let's say 4, this is a square number, and ang number nga 2 diri is considered as the root. And now let's proceed to variables with exponents that are perfect squares. So saan kita makambal nga ang mga variables with exponents are perfect squares? So ang tandaan lang natin is that if the exponent of that variable is divisible by 2, then that variable is a perfect square. Okay? Now, notice ng ilang exponents, say this one, it is divisible by 2, then it is considered as a perfect square. Ang exponent ng 4, since it's divisible by 2, then y to the 4th is a perfect square. And ang man si z to the 6, since ang 6 is divisible by 2, then z to the 6 is a perfect square. Okay, so ang quadratic equation that follows the form x squared minus k is equal to 0, ang iyang roots can be solved by extracting square roots. Okay, so we have here x squared minus k is equal to 0. So, wala pa isa na process. So, if we are going to process that, it will become x squared is equal to, we're going to transfer a negative variable to the other side, so it will become positive. Okay, so the same thing if we have x squared minus 4 is equal to 0. So, para mapos natin mag-solve sa roots ng quadratic equation, we're going to process that. So this will become x squared is equal to 4. Okay? Okay, so I have here two examples of quadratic equation na pwede natin ma-solve ang iyang roots gamit sa extracting square roots. So let's say number 1, we have x squared minus 4 is equal to 0. So hindi pa niya wala pa niya na-process na version. Okay, so if we're going to process that, that is x squared, transfer that the left to the right side, it will become positive 4. Then, siling natin ang roots ng quadratic equation. May duwa kita ka roots ng quadratic equation. Okay, so para makuha natin ng roots gamit sa extracting square roots, we're going to put square root symbol on both sides. Okay? So, you have square root of x squared, square root of 4. And since x squared is a variable that is a perfect square, so pwede na natin nakuhaan sa square root. So, kuhaan natin ang iyang square root. So, the result is x. And then the square root of 4 here is 2. Actually, there are two answers. No? Kung magambalik ka square root sa isa ka positive number, there are two answers. We have positive 2 and negative 2. So, therefore, x sub 1 is equal to positive 2 and x sub 2 is equal to negative 2. Okay? Next, we have m squared equals to 25. Now, this is already a processed version. Isa ang m squared equals 25. So, all you have to do is to put the square root symbol like this. Then, the square root of m squared is m. The square root of 25 is positive negative 5. So, therefore, there are two roots here. M sub 1 is equal to 5 and M sub 2 is equal to negative 5. Okay, next, let's try number 3 and number 4. So, number 3, we have z squared is equal to 0. Now, kung ang imong right side is equal to 0, so wala na sa ibang number na makita dira. So, ang root naton is only 1, or there is only one solution. And that is z is equal to 0. Okay, now kanto kita sa b squared plus 25 equals 0. So this is not processed yet, or it follows the form x squared minus k is equal to 0. So i-process natin ang b squared plus 25, it will become b squared equals, so siling natin kung ang isa ka term nagasaylo sa piyak sang equal sign, naga-change ng iyang sign. Okay, so if it's positive, if being transferred to the right side, it will become negative. Same thing man kung negative siya, kung magsaylo sa piyak, it will become positive. Okay, so since this is positive, isaylo natin sa piyak, it will become negative 25. Okay, so to get the roots, so putawan natin sa square root symbol. Then, square root of b squared is b is equal to, now, mga negative na numbers, although ang 25 is a perfect square, but then it is a negative number, so wala kita sang real roots. No real roots. Okay?